Welcome back, everybody, to the show. I am your host, as always, Jay Villain, aka That Villain Jay. And tonight we have a very special treat for you because with me, as always, is going to be my partner in podcast, co-pilot, perhaps even we could call it.
I like that.
Yes. Numbest of Skulls, the Numbskull. He's right here with us, and
Hey,
it
guys.
is our perennial favorite. It used to be 4 times a year, then it was 5 times a year. Now it's going to be 6 times a year.
6 times, yeah.
Which is pretty wild. Welcome to New Magic. Welcome to Magic 2025. The first set coming out this year, AETHERDRIFT.
Yeah. It'll be interesting, huh?
Start your engines on the starting lines, gentlemen. Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire, all that. We are here with our coveted, patented, popular, exciting, explosive top 10 cards list with, of course, featuring our tier 0 pick, as we will do. And we're excited to bring it to you today. We have unique picks. I think we kind of went, we're throwing some curveballs out this one. You're going to want to listen to this one and follow all the way through because you might think we know where we're going. We're going to zig when you want to zag. Okay, we're putting it in here, man. We're doing different things tonight. So we're going to do our top 10 and a tier 0 pick. We're going to do some dishonorable mentions, some stuff we're not happy to see, and some stuff you should keep on your eye out and all that. And we'd also like to hear from you because this is the Black Council. If you have a favorite card that you're excited about, are you excited about AetherDrift at all? Do you not care and you're just waiting for Tarkir to happen? Or are you like me and waiting for Final Fantasy? I don't know. You've got to let us know in the comments. Let us know in the live chat. This is the Black Council. It is a council. We take advice from we listen to our Discord and our other people that are involved. Speaking of our Discord and all the people that have joined the council, this production is brought to you by Patreon. Our Patreon supporters help support and make this possible. So I'd like to throw it over to Numbskull to say thank you to our patrons.
Yes, thank you to your patrons. We couldn't do this without you. We couldn't run our studio, our $1 million, $2 million virtual.
Well, yeah, they tried to raise our other one to 3, and that one we quit that one.
We couldn't do this very expensive, unreasonably expensive virtual studio without you guys.
Absolutely.
So we really appreciate it. And you can join this Patreon for as little as $1 a month or $1 an episode, whatever you prefer. But it will get you exclusive access to the council Discord. And then you will also have access to these episodes up to 24 hours before they go live on YouTube as well.
Yes.
So you will get first access. You'll get to chat with Jay and I whenever you want, which is pretty cool, in this private Discord. And then you'll have access to other things that we have, like we do giveaways sometimes, things like that too. Okay, so without further ado, I'll read the patrons. We do shout you out every episode because we are very thankful for you. So we've got Bad Optics, Neptune, Mez Undead, VG, Zyron, Jason Flood, Just the One, Larry Mitchell, Jay Langford, Metal Mechanic, Notorious D, Deadfast, Argent Icon, W. Taylor, Elvan Bream, Xylo Beast, Jamel Langford, Trex, Adactyl, Lord Gypticus the Flipticus, Mamulian, Cassius, Nickel Nuts, Ulfveer, Dante Valentine, Savrit, and of course, Clever Sound.
The cleverest of sounds.
Yeah, we got some OGs in there. Embarking upon their 3rd year with us in the council. Oh my goodness.
Can you even believe it?
It's year 3, man.
Can you even believe it? Magic has survived.
Oh my god, I thought this was supposed to be over by now.
I know.
What happened, Jay?
A lot of people keep
buying these cards.
Killed
it. I thought they killed it, man.
They keep buying the cards, man. I don't know.
How many times have they killed Magic since we started this podcast?
Since I've started playing Magic, they've killed Magic at least once a year. That's why nothing bothers me anymore, man. I've been hearing Magic is dead for 25 years, so and it still hasn't died yet. So
whenever I think something's crazy, I talk to Jay about it, and then I'm just like so much more calm after because he's just unfazed by anything that
I've seen too much and been too many places. I am the stone.
It's nice because like I see it in your streams too. Like people come in freaking out, and you're just like, whatever, dude.
It is what it is, man.
You're just like, whatever,
Life
man.
is a wheel.
Yeah, life is a wheel, and time isn't real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do have that. Hopefully, this set doesn't kill Magic for good. We'll see.
This is an interesting one, and we'll get started on the AetherDrift talk because I think there's something to be said about AetherDrift. Period.
Yeah.
Not a lukewarm reception so far. They're calling it the Karlov of the year. That's what the kids are saying on the street. Be. Where is your temperature on it, Numbskull? Let's talk about this before we get into the crads here, the cards.
My temperature is not very high. I don't have a fever. I'll tell you that.
You're not having race car fever. Okay.
Yeah, no race car fever. I like the concept of the race thing, and like doing the lore kind of got me probably more hype for this than the actual cards. Unfortunately,
the lore is pretty cool, believe it or not.
Yeah, I really enjoy doing the lore episode with you. I don't hate. I do like some of the cards. Like I was getting excited about stuff today as I was like looking through it. But there were just some parts of it that felt like it wasn't quite enough at times, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just, it's like there's like almost like a half-ass zombie support.
Yeah.
Half-ass skeleton support kind of deal.
Yeah.
I was trying to make a zombie deck, and I was able to make one, including some of these new cards, but it felt like I didn't get to use enough of the new cards for the zombie deck, and felt like I was like searching for things to fill the list.
Fill the zombie void. Yeah.
Yeah, I was able to do it, but it felt like, we have some cool zombies in this set, and like we could have leaned into it like a little bit more. Get like a Mad Max vibe going.
They didn't commit to the bit. Is kind of almost the vibe that I think that,
for some of it.
Yeah.
They committed to the race, which obviously, like, yeah, sure, that is what it's about. I guess that's kind of all they had to commit to, but but yeah, I don't know. It could have been a little more for me. I wanted like just a little bit more, like one or two more cool zombie cards would have been sick. One or two more vampire or skeleton, or even, I don't know. I feel like the vehicles are a little underwhelming too.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like all of the vehicles that might be good. Kind of just like do something that other cards already do, but it's just the card now says vehicle.
Yeah, they made previously existing cards into vehicle versions.
Yeah, and I was hoping for some new things to come from it,
mm-hmm.
and it felt like that didn't really happen either.
Yeah.
So I think those are probably my biggest complaints, and then we'll get into our dishonorable mentions for things that we're not really happy about. We'll get into that in a bit, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, and I have to say, first of all, let me say that I'm so happy that you're getting more and more into the lore, because I think when we started this, I don't even think that you even knew there was a Magic story.
Not really. Like, I think I knew at one point they made books, but I didn't know that it was an ongoing thing.
Yeah, you were here for the game. Yep. So I'm so glad I've got you Vorthosed up. I've got you into the story, so that's good to hear. And I actually really do like this. I know people accuse it's the hat cycle. It's just different people wearing different hats. They're race car drivers. Now they're whatchamacallit now they're cowboys.
Oh, sure.
And I feel like that's a little bit reductive. I feel like it's a little bit unfair. There is some cool stuff going on with the way that planeswalking and a lot of other things work. I think that the story is pretty cool. Yeah, I feel like there was so the power level of this set is not very high. At least it doesn't appear to be. I also said that about Bloomborough, and I was wrong. Only about mice though, but
true.
Maybe there's going to be some sleepers that we don't see, and a lot of times it needs to be played. We're going to see in early access. By the way, we're both in early access. I think you got your email too.
Yes, sir.
So we're going to be doing early access next week. I think this is I'm holding judgment. I am hyped about a couple of cards. I am hyped that we are getting some zombie support. I do agree with you. I wish they would have committed to the bit. If we're gonna do zombies, give us zombies. You know what I mean?
Let's do it. Let's really do it.
Let's really do it. I feel like they had a lot to cram in there. In my opinion, here's gonna be my final controversial opinion.
Okay.
I think that this should have been an Amonkhet set.
Okay.
I think this triple plane thing is we're pulling a lot of different we're pulling a lot of different stuff. We're doing too much, man.
Yeah.
We're doing Merganda, which is its own thing. Merganda
or something like that.
Yeah, that's a plane we haven't seen in a while. It's getting a little bit of love. The zombies from Amonkhet. I actually really liked Amonkhet. And I would have loved to go back there and been like, okay, well, this is the big race in Amonkhet. This is how they're rebuilding. They're getting investment by having the race around the desert. You know, it's like a Mad Max thing. Instead of this I know the cross planner thing is kind of the draw, but I feel like you could have done a plane wide thing and still had a similar, maybe still had a similar effect. I don't know. I kind of wish we had all Amonkhet all the time. But that's me. I liked Hour of Devastation a lot. That was one of my favorite sets. That shit was crazy. So I'm gonna hold my for all the people out there. I don't know if there's people typing fast at me or not. I'm gonna hold my judgment. There's a couple of cards that I'm interested in. There's a couple of cards I want to see play out. I don't think we have any there's only really one like meta bomb where I'm like, that is gonna change how things function. That is gonna change the way that stuff goes on. I think there's really only one of those, and one or two of them, and I think that maybe people were holding out that we wanted more meta bombs than that. We wanted
a little more of a shake-up, huh?
Yeah, we wanted bigger shake-ups. We wanted, because people are not happy with the meta right now. They're pretty.
Yeah.
You know,
I don't like the Dimir snooze fest.
The Dimir snooze fests and a lot of things. There's good meta stuff right now, but there's also there's dog shit out there too, and I think that people really did want to have something a little bit more shake up, you know, big, like Duskmourn, where Duskmourn came in, Foundations came in.
Duskmourn's
like,
crazy.
Stuff, yeah, so that is something I'm definitely hoping that we get a bigger, more aggressive thing on there. So that all being said, let's get to some of the cards that we think are going to be shaking things up. You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Let's get to some of these cards. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do that. I'm going to start it off here.
You're going to start it off. Okay, excellent.
Yeah. So we're going to go. We each have 5. You know, it's a top 10. So we're each going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll go 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3. You know, so, go from there. So I am choosing a new one here, and these are kind of always good. You know, we're going to go with Radiant Lotus.
Okay, the new Lotus, the much hyped new Lotus that Morrow talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, there's just like always a way to make it broken, and even if it's not broken in standard, it'll be broken in some format. Probably Commander, probably maybe like Modern, because Modern has like an artifact affinity deck, things like that. So it'll just have a crazy way to ramp up way more than it should. And not to mention, this is an interesting one with this Lotus, because you don't lose the Lotus when you
sacrifice it. You feed,
when you activate the ability.
Yeah. So you feed basically you feed other artifacts to the Lotus to get a lot of mana on out. So it lets you play a huge bomb. If you've built artifacts, it lets you play, because you get 3 for each sacrifice. You get 3 mana out of it, essentially.
And in standard, we have like Power Stones still,
treasure tokens,
treasures, maps are everywhere.
Yeah,
you know. And this is like I don't want to call it an artifact set, but there's a lot of artifacts.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to crack open.
So yeah, I just think it's going to be broken. Also in Modern, there's like a decent amount of like 0 mana artifacts, so that's a thing.
Okay.
I think even in Pioneer, there's some 0 mana. There's like the Thopters.
Yeah.
You could play those like 2-3 Thopters and make like 9 mana for free.
Now, what would
disgusting.
you play? What would you play as the big bomb to sacrifice out to? Like if you were setting that up, if you were setting up an artifact Lotus deck, standard, whatever, what would you say is like the method you would bomb out to? Should you go to like
standard? I think I'm going like Portal. Phyrexia. It's pretty good, you know. Sacrifice 3 cheap artifacts. Boom! I have a Portal. You could do something like that. I think you can choose whatever color mana you want to add.
Yeah, you can add whatever,
which is noteworthy. So you could go like the Omniscience route, you know, just be fully gross with it. There's also a guy that's like he comes out as like an XX with a certain amount of counters. He's like an artifact construct. You can just make like infinite counters on the guy, you know. This could possibly go into like a Tron deck in Modern that plays Eldrazi creatures. Just another way to cheat out Eldrazi. In Pioneer, I think there is like an artifact deck in Pioneer that does some stuff, but there's also like those Urza Saga decks. This could go well in an Urza Saga deck that takes advantage of those value engines. So I think it fits into like a bunch of places. And then Commander, obviously, you know, you just use it as your engine. And it's, you know, it's colorless, so it's an easy thing to cast. You have your rampant Commander, maybe like you get this turn 3, turn 4, whatever. In your casual Commander game with your turn 1 Soul Ring and turn 2 Signets and things like that. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with it. So I think it's good. I think it'll be played in multiple formats, so we can't leave it out. It might be a tad slow for Standard.
That was my only concern that I was really going to bring up. I said it's a tad slow, but if you're committing to the artifact bit, do you know what I thought? If we're committing to the ramping bit and going wide, let's throw it in green. Let's hit a Genesis Wave or a 2020 Hydra off of it. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
You know, we could go full ramp into it. Cast Galta, like I said, or do green artifacts, and then what's that guy's name? You can generate a lot of treasure with Goldvein Hydra from OTJ.
Yeah. The Hydra's good. Also, let me look at one more thing before I make my next comment. Yeah, so you could actually... this is instant speed also, which I think is relevant. The ability for the Lotus. There's also that, like, I think there's a... what is it? It's Valgavoth something where you manifest Dread a bunch of times.
Yeah, Valgavoth's Onslaught. Yeah.
You could just like infinitely. You could manifest Dread your whole deck and then just swing at him and kill him the next turn. You know what I mean? So there's some cool stuff you can do. I think that's a sorcery though. Yeah.
Yeah, but still, there's a lot of green. There's a lot of green mana sinks. Even like I said, even Genesis Wave.
Yeah.
So I think there's options in green, and green might have a little bit of a comeback. So again, one to watch, and I think that you're right. Standard, maybe not so much, but it's gonna go somewhere. I mean, Lotuses are... And
someone's going to try it.
Someone's going to try it. Someone's going to make the attempt.
And if you pull it and you don't plan to play it, look into selling it because I think they're going to be valuable.
Yeah, very likely.
We're talking about $40 before...
Very likely.
Before release. It could go down, but... Usually anything with the word Lotus on it is going to get you at least a decent amount of money.
Pretty much. So hey, maybe you pull some cards for it, and you grab it and sell it.
Imagine getting that in draft.
That would be a bomb.
That'd be a nice little draft bomb for you.
That'd be a nice little draft bomb for you.
Just cast whatever you want.
Lotus, new Lotus, which we were promised, and they did in fact do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move on to mine right here. My number one. speaking of similar things, the more things change, the more things they stay the same. This is one I'm confused about because nobody is talking about this. It feel like it flew under the radar. This is my dark horse or my dark beetle. This is Debris Beetle. This is a 4-drop vehicle that's a 6/6 with I think is trample on it too. Does it have trample built into it?
It does. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a 6/6 trample vehicle with Crew 2. Crew 2 is not very hard. This is just a reprint of Siege Rhino. Like, I was looking at him like, am I crazy or is this just Siege Rhino? It's an easier to cast Siege Rhino. Siege Rhino was, of course, a 4-drop. It was Abzan, so it was white, black, green, and 1. It was a 4/5 trample. Whenever your opponent enters, each opponent loses 3 and you gain 3. This one is a vehicle, so it has to be crewed, which means you need another step for it. But it is also easier to cast. It is easier to cast, and it is also a 6/6. I'm like, how are we not talking about a spiritual successor to Siege Rhino available in Standard? Siege Rhino ruined formats. I mean, you know, it was so powerful. Did it eventually get banned?
I think it got banned and then
that's
maybe?
That's your area of expertise. I know nothing about modern.
Yeah, sadly, I don't know it as much just because I got into it so recently. I'm pretty sure it's on. I don't know. It might be unbanned now. It was banned. Oh, it was banned in Standard. Siege Rhino.
I know it was banned a couple of places, and it was very much disliked for a long time. It was
such a simple thing.
Yeah, the Siege Rhino was very much a faux pas to even Siege Rhino it up. It was the game was turning into who could Siege Rhino each other faster. So I'm like, listen, maybe the power level has gone up. Maybe we've had some power creep, but it's still Siege Rhino. Like, it's not garbage. Like, I don't.
Yeah, no.
And the fact that it's more powerful, it's easier to cast. Golgari is already popular.
Yeah, Golgari's big.
You know, Golgari is already a popular form grab on there. I feel like we're not talking about it. I feel like it could potentially be a bomb. You know, I don't know. I don't know how much. I don't know how good vehicles are going to be in a removal-rich environment right now, with pilots not being able to get to them. But then there's also ways you can turn into a creature. You can do all kind of stuff. But even just that 4-drop for gain and gain 3 and having a big body on the board, or potentially grabbing out a big body, it's not nothing. It's not nothing. I feel like we're there somewhere.
Could you imagine if it said enters or attacks?
Yeah, that would. I think that they would be like
overdoing it. It'd be like Flage. Yeah,
they'd be overdoing it at that point.
For Standard, it's overdoing it, but for Modern, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, for those insane formats that you guys like.
But yeah, I think it's good if you can blink it. I think that's where it starts to get really good. Just blinking it.
Yeah, you could bounce it. I think that generally, even just trying to run it in a having that kind of reserve, I think that vehicles might sneak under. This is my hypothesis. We're gonna have to see how this plays out. In the removal meta, they may sneak under the removal meta because you can't really target them until they're creatures.
Yeah, not everybody gets artifact removed.
Not everyone is now. A lot of people will probably doing it more, but just the fact that it's a little, just that little bit. It's all right. Well, this is a little trickier to deal with. This is a little harder to deal with. I feel like we're getting somewhere where the removal meta won't be as aggressive just because they can't get to everything as much as they want. They can't punish you as hard as they want, which, you know, could be potentially something to be for. So Siege Rhino's back, except he's a beetle, and he also looks like a giant dung car, which is funny as well. I think it's supposed to be made out of, the wheels are giant dung balls, which is, you got to appreciate the style on that.
Yeah, I think it lines up and it goes along with the race, so it's good. Yeah, that'll be a fun one, and I like that the crew cost is low.
Crew cost is very low. I mean, some crew costs get to where it's like, I'm never going to crew this. I just need to figure it out. But a 2 by turn 4, especially when we have a lot of pilots and things, like
it's pretty reasonable.
It's very reasonable.
Yeah. So yeah, that one's pretty sick. You can go to my number 4 here, and this is the guy. Another, I guess, allusion to a previous card, if you will. This is going to be Hazaret Godseeker. So it is a new version of Hazaret, which is pretty sweet. We're excited for that. And Hazaret is going to have like this a similar style to where there's like a condition of whether or not he can attack, but in turn he does have trample, haste, indestructible. Not trample, I'm sorry, indestructible and haste, and he's a 5/3.
Yeah.
He's 2 mana, which I think is pretty cool. So 2 mana, 5/3, can't attack or block unless you have max speed. So we're gonna take advantage of the max speed ability here. He himself does have start your engine, so that's good. And I'll say this here now. Jay and I were talking about it a little bit before. I do think that max speed is underrated, and I think it's underappreciated, and I do think it'll be relevant in the standard meta. And I think that you need to know how to, or just like maybe not know how to deal with it, but be prepared to deal with it. So that's legit. A buddy was talking to me about it. He was like, "Yeah, but he dies to nowhere to run."
Yeah,
that is, like, dude, nowhere to run is so good.
I know.
But yeah, I think I like bringing back Hazaret here.
Yeah, he's one of the surviving gods.
Yeah, so that's cool. I do like having gods. That's always fun. He also can make a creature unblockable, and you know what creature has power 2 or less that we like to make unblockable is Unstoppable Slasher.
Unstoppable Slasher. You can't count him out. He's always around.
He's always there, man. He's in the race too.
Written right in there. It says unstoppable.
He can't be stopped. Yeah, it can't be stopped.
Literally.
In this case, also he can't be blocked. So that's fun. So yeah, I think Hazaret has some cool things going on. And then once he can attack, obviously it's pretty good.
And I think the conditional thing of him not being able to attack or block early in the game. I think that's the fact that he's so cheap. Like he like you said. Okay, well he dies to nowhere to run, but he's only a 2 investment. We're not out we're not that much meta, and they used it. Also, why don't we take a second to explain the speed mechanic? Let's take a speed break.
I can do that.
A pit stop.
Let's switch up the speed.
Yeah.
Change of pace, if you will. I actually wrote a full article on this, so I'm pretty well
we'll link
up.
it down below about speed.
Okay. Yeah. So the it's going to start with the start your engines, and if you don't have the start your engines, it's going to be it's going to put you at a speed of 1. So once your engine has been started, as long as you don't have speed, you will get 1 speed from that when the card has start your engines. It is an ability that just automatically happens when the permanent that says start your engines enters the battlefield. It is not a triggered ability. It cannot be stifled by anything from anything else.
Okay.
So that's noteworthy. It's I think they consider it like a close to like a special action, which is like playing a land is a special action. So you can't negate someone playing a land. You know what I mean? It's you can't stop that. So there's that. You get your 1 speed, and max speed is considered 4. So then you're going to wonder, okay, how do I get more speed? You get more speed when an opponent loses life during your turn.
Okay.
Has to be your turn, and it only happens once each turn for gaining speed when they lose life. But notably, the initial speed that you gained is from the start your engines ability from the creature. In turn, you can actually achieve a speed of 2 on the first turn that a Start Your Engines permanent is on the board.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So Start Your Engines triggers your speed, but you can also, if they lost life that turn as well,
you would get another one.
You would get another speed. So you can get to max speed pretty quickly if you
need. You can get to 2. So let's say you have like a max speed, you know, like probably like turn 2, you're getting 2 max speed. So by turn 4, it is entirely possible to have max speed and Hazoret's attacking on turn 4. That's entirely possible.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's relevant. I guess also maybe if there was a creature that when he entered he dealt a damage and he had Start Your Engines. But I haven't seen that in this set. I think that might be too broken.
Well, if you did Rakdos. If you did Rakdos with Hazoret and you played Hazoret and then you played Hopeless Nightmare and they lost 2 life.
Yeah, exactly. So you'd have to have the mana, so you're looking at doing that on turn 3. But yes, you would have that. So there is another card that's coming up that I'm going to talk about that you can start it on turn 1. So that's cool. So we do have ways to do the Start Your Engines on turn 1. We also have a land. We also have some lands that'll play off of that as well. But yeah, so once you have max speed, then you just get to start. You're able to do these extra value things that the cards say you can do, and some of them are pretty legit. There's some that are pretty broken. I don't know if it's a reason to center an entire deck around max speed, but if you have enough support for it within your deck, you can get value from it that you haven't really gotten in Magic previously. It's definitely... That might be my favorite thing from the set is the Start Your Engines and the max speed. The abilities that we get from it, and the fact that I think it's actually going to be decent. Also... the last thing I'll say is it's something that is compared to the Ring Tempting You. That was the most likened comparison.
1 through 4. Yeah,
it's 1 through 4, and it's also something that's like tracked separately from life totals, and it's not tied to the permanent. So like you don't need to keep your Start Your Engine permanent on the board in order to keep gaining speed. Once it's started, when you make the opponent lose life, you get to keep gaining speed. And your speed can go past 4, which there are cards in the set that actually are relevant from that.
Okay.
So just to kind of give you a full crash course and to explain how I think people should approach it, and what I've been kind of looking at with it. That's what we've arrived at. So I do think max speed is good. I think it's worth trying to get max speed if you have the right payoff for it that works well in your deck. I'll put it that way.
Okay. I mean, that's reasonable enough. I think I haven't done too much research on it. You seem to know a lot. I know the basics. I think that it is one of those things, and I've said it before, and I think it's relevant, is that we don't know yet. We don't know. I think it needs to be played out. I think we really didn't even understand the Ring Tempts You and dungeon delving, some of these newer, more esoteric mechanics. I think it's hard for us to say, oh, this is bad, this is good.
I think that the Ring Tempting You was like a little convoluted because it's like, oh, what happens the second time? What happens the third time? This is just like count to 4. So it's like, okay, that's easier to keep track of. And then once you hit 4, okay, yeah, you need to keep track of it still, but okay, now you just start doing crazy shit. Rather than, oh, what happens when the ring tempts me this time? Let's Google it. It's like you're having to Google it or like look it up, and it's just like it was a little extra. Whereas this is just like literally count to 4. So
yeah, each time it says speed, each time you do the triggered ability, and I think that on Arena it'll be a lot easier because Arena's going to do it for you.
Oh yeah, it's going to keep track of it for you. Yeah, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
So that's legit. And it as a player, if you play in paper, it is one extra thing to keep track of. You would be responsible for keeping track of your own speed, so make sure you do that. If you and your opponent miss a trigger for the speed, and you realize it later and you call a judge about it, the correct call is that a judge would give you both a game warning for failure to maintain proper game state. So that is a thing. So as the opponent, like, yeah, you can play the angle of trying to, oh, you missed it, man, but it's also like, hey, if someone calls a judge, it could backfire. So it is one of those things, better to be honest about it, in my opinion.
All right, so that's our speed crash course.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. That's very good. Brilliant. Thanks, Jay.
All right, moving on. Moving on from our speed. I'm very, very happy about that one. This one,
that was good.
I don't know why I'm having this at number 4. I think it should probably be higher, but I'm already here, so let's do it. I think this is a secret. I think this might change. Okay. This is our meta shaker. I think it's the only
cheat
card
code
that you can call a meta shaker right now. Monument to Endurance.
Okay.
Why are not people talking about Monument to Endurance? This may be, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to make a bold statement here. This may be the worst case scenario for bounce. Okay. So Monument for Endurance is based on the Monument cycle. There was Monument to Katra and Hazaret and all the. There was a Monument Bazaru, whatever. There was monuments to all the gods. They're all in a cycle, and they did something for 3. And there was a big monument that was in the Amonkhet thing. This is Monument to Endurance after the Hekma failed and we had the Hour of Devastation where Nicol Bolas took over and ruined everything. They built this and to say, we're still here. Some of our gods died. We went through it, but we built a giant monument to celebrate. And it also looks like a giant lotus, too, which is fun.
It's pretty sick, yeah. Looks like it's floating almost.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, it's like impossible architecture. Very cool. The thing is, this is discard. Whenever you discard a card, choose one that hasn't been chosen yet. Draw a card. So anytime you discard, you get to draw. That is horrible for facing discards. It's the worst case scenario. If someone is playing mono black discard, I make you discard it. Okay, I just draw a new one. Like, unless they're making you discard 2 at a time, not even. You choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. So you get all 3 of these. If you discard 3 cards, you create a treasure token, draw a card, and each opponent loses 3 life. I think that the bounce that people are making you discard every single turn with Esper and Dimir bounce, and they're replaying Hopeless Nightmare, they're going to lose 3 life for each play that they do. If they keep doing that, if they keep
each
trying
time
to
they do it, yeah,
they're going to lose. That's not a winning formula right there.
I lose 2, you lose 3.
Yeah, we're not headed in the right direction there.
Yeah,
I think that definitely it is something to keep an eye on, because
could be a sideboard card for sure.
It is definitely a sideboard card, and I think that the fact that it is an artifact, the fact that anybody can stock this, the fact that you can throw this in any deck, I think that black benefits the most from this, because you're talking about things like look at Go for the Throat. I mean, not Go for the Throat. Bitter Triumph. Bitter Triumph. You're talking about Liliana, where we each have to discard a card.
Yeah.
It doesn't care about that. You're gaining advantage for each one of those things that you have to do.
Like Reanimator decks too, when you want to discard anyway. So then this just gives you extra value.
You're getting, you know what I mean? You're getting life drain off the top. You're either getting cards off the top. I think it's very, very useful. I think it is one of the better utility artifacts. And I'm not even an artifact fan. I don't care about artifacts ever.
Sure.
But this looks like it has all the makings of something that could really warp. When people are trying to come at you with a certain type of deck, I feel like we're going to get into some really warpy stuff here. It's really going to affect what people are. Cause people are going to I have a feeling people are going to have to play around it. That's what I'm trying to say here.
That's reasonable.
People are going to have to say, if this, it's kind of like Authority of the Consuls, where if somebody has that down, you're going to have to deal with that. If you're playing aggro and they have Authority of the Consuls, you're just disadvantaged. You're just flat disadvantage from everything else you're trying to do, because it shuts down the method in which that you were hoping to pull off what you were trying to pull off.
Yeah.
So one to watch, I think, and I think that there's definitely a lot of room there for people to use that one. So
a deck where I see this fitting in right away is the mono black Waste Knot deck in Explorer and Pioneer.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you play the land where you draw a card and discard a card, and you don't care that you're discarding, because as long as you make the opponent discard, then you're going to draw extra cards or get extra whatever. Well, now you can get extra stuff when you discard. That deck also plays Liliana too, which is relevant. There's also, and I think it counts, if you discard the hand size on the cleanup step, I believe that would also trigger. So you could get value from that if you're just straight up drawing too many cards, you know. So I think maybe like as a 1 of or a 2 of in the Waste Not deck, that could actually be a thing, and it could be good. Decks that like to play the Collector's Vault,
where you're discarding.
You're just, you know, 1 and 1, 1 and 1, 1 and 1 each turn, and you're ramping. Well, now you're like double ramping. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think it could be interesting. Like you said, it's like crazy versatility as a 3-mana artifact with no color restrictions. So, yeah, I think it's solid too. I think it could go under the radar, and it could get some serious value in some decks.
Yeah, I definitely think there's something there. That's all I want to say. We're looking at something here, and I think if it had a color, I think it would be less useful. The fact that it slots everywhere, anybody can play it. It's egalitarian. It doesn't care about anything. You want it in there, it's in there. I think it's something. I think it's definitely something.
Yeah, I like it, man.
All right, so let's move on to your next one here.
All right, so this is gonna be number 3. I'm actually gonna call an audible. I'm going to swap my number 3 and my number 2.
Okay.
So for the number 3, I know the last one was a red card. I have another red card for you guys. This is Howl Squad Heavy. And I think that's a really fun name, honestly. This is a goblin. It's a goblin guy. And the reason I am putting it at 3 and not at 2 where I originally had it is because we just don't really play goblins in Standard.
Well, could he be the one to bring it back? Is he the great goblin hope?
He may be. That would be cool. And if he is, good. And I'm glad that I chose him in my top 5. But until we see it, I just was a little hesitant to make him number 2. So we're gonna make him number 5 or number 3. Sorry, he's a 3-mana. He's a 2/3. He's not even legendary. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So he does have Start Your Engines. So we know what that is. He's a rare. Other goblins you control have haste, so that's cool. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That token attacks this combat if able. So basically, like, they all attack the first turn that they're out if they're able to on the ones that he creates. Now because he has Start Your Engines, he also has the max speed ability. His max speed ability is adding 1 red mana for each goblin you control. And I think that's where he can just snowball, especially because he's non-legendary. And if you have 2 of these guys out, and you make the 2 goblins on that turn, you tap both of them. That's 4 mana for each one, so that's 8 mana you're making as early as turn 4. On top of the 4 mana you already have,
and then you could play that. You could play that other card that's you get 2 more attack phases after this one. You know, you could really start going wild. Where if you had all that mana, you could throw all kind of stuff at the wall there.
Yeah. So and then if you have extra combat phases, you are getting extra goblins. So that's a thing too. So I think it's cool. You could play it with like Fear of Missing Out. You know, and you could do the extra combat steps that way. So there's some cool stuff you can do, or you can just untap him with Fear of Missing Out, because his ability to add the mana is also a tap ability. So you can just untap him with Fear of Missing Out, just to add the mana again. So I think there's all kinds of stuff you can do with this guy. I think he's really good. A fun one that I think, and maybe you could do this in like a I don't know, people play like historic goblins or whatever, I think of like Brash Taunter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the one that how much damage you do kicks back.
Yeah, so and then you can pay 5 mana to make him fight a guy. Yeah. You can just make him fight everything with this.
And do a bunch of damage.
And you just fireball your opponent, basically. So I think it's pretty interesting. And I think he's good. I think it's crazy that he's not legendary.
That is odd. I honestly, when I first saw him, I said, "Oh, this is a captain. This is a goblin captain."
Now, like, he's not a lord. He doesn't, give the buff, but he gives haste, which is you want that for the goblins too. You want the lord and the haste, So he fulfills the other thing. I mean, there are probably already plenty of lords,
Yeah.
Here's another fun one. He's an outlaw. He's a mercenary.
Oh, okay. So you could start playing with different. You start doing a little angles on it.
Yep, he's in the Warm P category. So
we always love to be in the Warm P.
Great category to be in.
Great category to be in.
So yeah, I think he's pretty damn good, Jay. I just saw him today and I was like, dude, this guy, I think he could kick ass. And maybe it's not in standard, but I think there's enough goblins floating around in Magic that you could put this guy in the goblin deck. Remember when there was a crazy goblin deck in Alchemy? There's
still some. I still run a goblin burn and it still works. So I think if it's only getting better, because you could just dump mana into that. So I think there's something there, and I think you're right. Anything that's accelerating, that's generating mana, is always going to be tricky to deal with.
Agreed.
Speaking of lords, let's go to my speaking of lords. Who I call captains because I'm so old that
I like that.
That's what I used to call them. Like,
is that what they were? Okay.
I don't know. I used to call them commanders before commander existed. Then it got changed to captains, and now they're called lords. Green is back, man. Green might be back. Let's say it. I'm hoping.
That's beefy.
Regal Imperosaur, man. This is just dinosaur support. Dinosaurs already kind of work. Dinosaur already works pretty decent, and we're talking about right now. He is a 3-drop. He's a 4/5, if I remember correctly. 5/4. So he's immune to cut down. Obviously.
Yeah. Very immune.
Very, very immune to cut down. And all dinosaurs you control get +1/+1 across the board.
He's a lord.
This is potentially a turn. This is easily, not even potentially, easily a turn 2 drop.
Yeah.
This is a lot of dino meat on the board very quickly.
Dino meat.
You start combining him with already the other dinosaurs that we have. I think he's kind of a missing X factor. If you want to run mono green, you want to run Gruul dinos. Gruul dinos never really went away. It's always there's always a decent Gruul dinos to do.
It's there.
Palani's Hatcher gives everyone haste on top of that. Itali, Carnosaur, the Carnosaur one that discovers. Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's dinosaurs around, and I think adding this in and just saying, where we can do this. This is power right here. It's simple. It's effective. And it is a lot to deal with. And you're saying, Jay, I know, I hear you. It dies to removal, Jay. Play it then, man. Play it. Play the removal. If you have removal, play it on my thing, man. I'm going to play a lot of dinosaurs. I'm going to try to get as much as I can out in the meantime. I'm going to try to do as much as I can. You've got to, if I'm going wide, play as much removal as you possibly can. Try to get it in. We will absolutely, go for it. Yeah, it dies, but turn 3 doing that much, if you don't have answers, then what are we doing? We're dancing.
5 damage on turn 3.
Yeah,
plus whatever else we do.
Exactly.
I think I think it's good, and there is a little bit of a sub theme of these very low cost semi vanilla creatures. Now there are just like flat vanilla creatures that are really big in this set, which is cool. Some of them are legendary.
Well, that's Morganda's thing. Their whole thing was no keywords. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one is 1 line of text, It's very similar, and it's funny. You're like almost trading the one line of text for the legendary status, and I almost like it better than some of these legendary guys. You could have 4 of these out if you wanted. You know, this guy's not legendary. You give all your dinos +4/+4. It's kind of gross. So yeah, I think it's good. I like that we get some dinos in the set, and maybe another one where I wanted a couple more dinos. But I think it's standard right now. Dinosaurs are probably better than zombies.
They may be. That is a bold way of putting it.
Because of the bombs. Atali is just too crazy.
Yeah, there's that high end that I don't think
Atali and Carney are just too crazy, I think.
Yeah, I don't think that any there's no bomb zombie that's like, whoa, if I ever get that on the board, you're totally screwed.
There's Gisa, but she's not even a zombie.
She's just a zombie lord or commander or captain.
She's very good.
She's good.
But she's their best bomb, but like, is she better than Atali? She might not even be better than Atali, you know?
Yeah.
That's an issue. So I think maybe that's why we don't feel as bad with just having a couple random dinosaurs in here. But I wouldn't have mind seeing more dinosaurs, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, definitely like our Regal guy. Oh man, so we're on we're on to the number
You're on
2s,
your number
right?
3. You're on your number 4. Yeah, you're in your 4th one. You're number 2. Where you at?
Okay. So I'm going to do Gas Guzzler. Finally a black card, huh?
Finally. I know we've been all over the place. Yeah, you guys didn't expect it.
Yeah. Jay and I, we were saying earlier that maybe that we wish the black cards were a little better in this set. We're still having a good time with it. But we weren't feeling the love on the black cards. So that's it's fine. There's a lot of good black cards in the set, or in the format rather. But yeah, Gas Guzzler. It's a 2/1. Gas Guzzler also has start your engines, so there's that. It's pretty crazy. He has the start your engines and the max speed ability. He does come in tap, so he's kind of like that, almost like that skeleton that you play. He's a 2/1 for 1, comes in tap, similar to that. But this time he's a vampire rogue. And he's of course just 1 black mana. Now the biggest thing here, obviously, as an attacker, a 2/1 swinging at you in the early game, it becomes relevant pretty quick. But his max speed ability is pay 1 black mana, sacrifice another creature or vehicle, draw a card. And there's a combo with another card called Zahur, Glorious Triumph, that basically makes it so that however much mana you have, you can basically draw that many cards.
Yeah.
If you have max speed, because Zahur is going to make a creature when you have a creature die. So you just keep the loop going of fodder to sacrifice. As long as you have the black mana to draw the cards, it's pay however much mana. And then you add other triggered abilities from creatures dying. Gain a life, lose a life. There's like 3-4 of those cards in standard now that do that. So I actually, that's the first deck I made, is a little Orzhov Aristocrats deck with this guy. But I think Gas Guzzler's really good. He could be an Rakdos sacrifice, a Mardu sacrifice. He could be... even if it isn't a sacrifice deck, if it's just like a block sack thing, and you want to just draw extra cards, I think that he's a very practical use, and he's probably the second best black card that we're getting in the set. Let me put it that way.
Yeah.
I think he's quite good.
Yeah, and I think that for the most part, I mean, just having that utility on the board is always nice. Like, speed is just, it's going to do what it needs to do. It's hard to say. Again, I don't want to keep saying it, but I think we're going to see something there, and I think that we need to stay tuned for speed, because I think start your engines is going to be good. I think a 1-drop, anytime you're getting a 1-drop, and the fact that you have basically almost a free reign to just start. Once you're max speed, you have a free reign to just sacrifice everything like crazy. Pretty decent, yeah. And vampires are not bad right now either. He's a good early play.
Yeah, I think and even if you just want to play a vampire deck, I think you could do that too. It doesn't have to be like a crazy far into the sacrifice, but if you just want a good turn 1 vampire, boom, there you go.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, he's definitely another one to watch as we go forward. Now, let's see. There's actually, the weird thing is, I'll take a minute to talk about it. The vampires all drink. They got addicted. I think they got addicted to oil after the invasion of Phyrexians. So they're oil vampires. So they actually attack your car, and they want to drink all the gas and oil out of your car, not your blood. So they're like They're like Mad Max vampires, which is
they've graduated. That's a little bit more expensive of a commodity.
Yeah, it's way more. Yeah, there's a lot more people than there is gas in the world. So
yeah, people don't donate gas, but they donate blood.
So interesting dynamic there, that because there's a bunch of them that there's a vampire cycle and they're all covered in oil and drinking and going nuts and being Mad Max. So that's fun.
It's good to know. Thank you.
So, speaking of mono black cards, let me get to mine here. Curse cloth. Sorry, I gotta get it right. Curse cloth wrappings.
Yeah.
We wanted mono black. I got you mono black right here. I think this is a bomb. I think this is really good. And I don't think this is just for zombie decks. I think people are miscategorizing, saying, oh, it's a nice zombie commander, captain. All zombies, it's 2 black and 2. All zombies you control get +1/+1. Good. Already good. It's an artifact that comes down and boosts all zombies. A little expensive compared to like Lord of the Undead or something like that. But we have a bunch of different zombie captains. We have Gisa. We have Death Touch Priest, or what is Deathrite Priest, or whatever his name is. There's a lot of effects that push zombies up. So this is a third one that pushes zombies up, which is impressive.
That's
helpful. And on top of that, you have this other ability where you can tap it and embalm something in your graveyard, which was the old Amonkhet ability where you could replay it for its mana cost. So
Embalm, it's coming back.
Embalm is coming back. There's a few Embalm. There's not too many. They put it a little bit. But the fact that this can just reanimate, you exile something from the graveyard, and you can just replay it. You create a token that's a copy, except it's a zombie. In the removal meta, when you're talking about the first 3 turns of your turns may be killed off, they may be smashed up the first 3 turns, just the sheer fact that we can say, okay, well, guess what? Turn 4, I'm just bringing everybody back. I'm going to start just reanimating all the shit that you killed. You know, even little things, you know, just replaying a little stuff. But the fact that you can replay a creature card every single turn and it's going to be more powerful because it's a zombie, on top of all the other zombies that we're doing, man, I don't think that that's that bad, man.
Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah. I even put it in the zombie deck anyway.
Yeah. No,
have another.
It belongs in the zombie deck because it doesn't matter if it comes back as a zombie again. But even if you pair it up, people forget that Radage Rappic is still available.
Yeah, you could just play it in simple Reanimator. And it's still legit, you know.
So I really like Curse Cloth. Also, I'd be wrong if I didn't say that the alternate alt art for it just has
it's pretty cool.
Is awesome art. And it is just a mummy who is thick for no reason.
It's a mummy mommy.
Yeah, as they were saying online, they were saying mummy more like mommy. So is that which one is that? That's the alt art. Yeah. So really, really good art on that one. We always like to see our undead women. We're a big fan. At least I am. I don't want to put Numbskull in that boat if he doesn't want to.
It's pretty good.
So yeah. So that is a good one, and it's a mono black one. It's probably one of the only mono black cards that I'm like, yeah, I'm excited about this. I'm excited about playing this one. Yeah,
I will add that to the list with Gas Guzzler, and then I think there might be one more that Jay and I like too.
Yeah. Yeah. Stay tuned to see.
Well, are we ready to start the number ones then?
Are we ready to start the number ones? Let's see here. Okay, so that was mine. Cloth, I don't have much else to say. Yeah. What is your number one, Numbskull?
Yeah. We'll do number ones, then we'll do honorable mentions.
We'll do number ones, honorable mention, then we have the tier 0.
And then the tier 0. Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So my number one then is going to be Ovia Auto Mech Artisan.
This one surprised the heck out of me, Numbskull. I'm not going to lie.
It's so good.
This one surprised. When he told me this was his number one, I said, okay, I'm not seeing something. I'm not seeing something that he's seeing. So explain it to me. Sell me on this card.
All right. Oh yeah. Okay. So you pay 1, you tap it, you put a creature on the battlefield. It's an artifact. It gets 2 counters on it. The main thing is in Eternal formats, you're putting Eldrazi's on the board. You're putting an Emrakul on the board. It's disgusting. It's gross. In Standard, you're putting Galta on the board.
Yeah.
Also, if you play it with FOMO, with fear of missing out, you can untap it, and then you can do the ability again. So you could theoretically have 2 huge creatures on the board, maybe with like crazy ETB effects. So a Tali and then Carnosaur, a Tali and whatever else, anything.
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. Is green back? Is green back?
Yeah. What I worry about is this just the 4 mana thing from Duskmourn that we thought was going to be super good?
Yeah, I thought about that one. What was his name? The Beastie?
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I'm picturing the art in my head right now. I think that one was maybe a little bit more conditional. This one is more of a conventional ability, just like having the built-in ability to tap it, whereas the other one had to rely on being tapped by something else or surviving combat. Little different. This one's just like, also, hey, just put something on the board. It's also instant speed. Do it on your opponent's end step. Swing at him the next turn.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, could wait. You could hold it in your hand, and even if they tried to play removal, you could say, in response, activate. I'm gonna activate and put an Italian out.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
Coma was very conditional. It had to be tapped to do what it needed to do.
Yeah, this one you tap it, but that's part of the ability. So I think that's why I like it. The instant speed's crazy. The instant speed on that is just, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And then it also goes for vehicles, so you get your Siege Rhino out if you don't have anything else, you know. So I think that's super relevant. Actually, I could see maybe even like some of these Greasefang decks even playing it. And then they just put Parhelion on the board, which is crazy.
Yeah,
you put Sky Sovereign on the board, the boat. You put Eska's Chariot out. You do like whatever. All of these crazy value, ETB and attack trigger vehicles like that. That could be a thing too. But also just your ridiculous ETB stuff. All of that I think is super relevant. So I think that's what makes this card number one for me. I think it's really good.
I'm hoping green is back, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It's faster. It is arguably faster than Smuggler Surprise too. So Smuggler Surprise was the premier way to do that, and this is.
It is possible this is faster, yeah, especially if you have Delirium.
Well, also if you have Ramp.
Yeah,
I mean, you're talking about Llanowar Elves. We're talking about turn 4 triggering this. You know, which is as fast as a Zombify, which is the gold standard for what you need to do to get something out quickly. So
it's true. It's true.
I don't know.
And you have this as another permanent on top of that. You know what I mean? So you have another body yet. So yeah, I think it is relevant. And then on that turn 4, you're only spending 1 mana. You still have 3 more mana on turn 4 to do stuff. So and actually, sorry, if it's turn 4, you actually probably have 4 mana if you had that Llanowar Elves.
Exactly.
So that's pretty legit, you know. So I think this card's very good. I think that possibly being overlooked, but I think it could go crazy in some of the Eternal formats.
Absolutely. I think that I had to say I'm not. You've sold me on it. I think that it definitely could do, and I think you could put it in anything that is good. Anytime you can play something. The only thing I'm worried about is that removal. I hate to be that guy, but man, she's so vulnerable out there. She's so little.
I get it. Good news is like if even if they kill that in response, you still get the thing.
Yeah, that is a saving grace where you can say, okay, well, in response to you trying to play removal on your turn or whatever, I can maybe activate it.
Even if you activate it and then they kill it in response, though, you still get that thing anyway. Mm-hmm. So you know what I mean. You get good stuff from it either way. I think maybe it's like the fixed version of what they wanted the beastie to be from Duskmourn. Maybe that's why we got this.
Yeah.
So like, well, design wise, it kind of didn't pan out how we intended, and people didn't really play it the way that we wanted them to.
Yeah.
To the degree that we wanted them to. So now we're gonna do this and hope that people play it and get better value out of it. Kona. That was the name.
Kona, yeah, it was Koma. Kona.
Yeah, with an N. Yeah. Okay, well, let's hear your number one, Jack.
So I have an unassuming one here, Rakdos. And I think people are like, first of all, I used to love the Gear Hulk cycle, which I'm already giving away what it is. I love the Gear Hulk. I like Noxious Gear Hulk. It was one of my favorite cards from Kaladesh, the old Kaladesh set. Coalheart Gear Hulk. We have a whole new set of Gear Hulks, and this is the Rakdos one. They used to be only in colors, now they're in mixed colors. Coalheart Gear Hulk is a 5-drop. It is an artifact creature, 2 red, 2 black, and 1. 5/4 menace and death touch. Already that's not terrible in and of what it is, but this is decent stats for, I mean, a 5/4 menace death touch for 5 is decent. It's not. You're not going to kick it out of bed for eating crackers. You know what I mean? Menace and death touch on there too. But here's the kicker. Literally, whenever this creature enters, put a target creature card with a mana value 4 or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield under your control with a finality. It gains menace, death touch, and haste until the end of turn. Exile that creature at the beginning of your next end step. This is a sniper shot. This is a finishing move that I don't think people are seeing the utility of right now. What I mean by that is you could immediately bring back your do you know how many good 4-drops they have in black? We have Sheldred, we have Unstoppable Slasher, we have what's his name, what's that guy's name,
we have Archfiend,
Bloodletter,
Bloodletter, yeah.
We have so many different powerful 4-drops that immediately pop down, get death touch and haste, and swing in. A swinging in Archfiend of the Dross is a 6/6 flying menace that's going to do 6 damage. That is huge. I'm also thinking about, what if I reanimate, because the menace is another thing. What if I reanimate a Unstoppable Slasher and he gets the hit?
Yeah, and then it can't be blocked.
It can't be blocked. You have to have immediate. You have to have something immediately to deal with him. You have to have an immediate removal to stop him.
2 things, because of the menace. Yeah, you got to have 2 blockers.
You have to have 2 blockers.
It's gross.
And so if you can't stop 2 blockers, guess what? You're gonna lose half your life, or you're gonna lose 2 creatures. And that's not even it. It's also the fact that after that's done with, we still have a Coalheart Gear Hulk on the board, a 5/4.
Yeah, and this he. Yeah, okay, so he himself doesn't have haste, but yeah, then you have to deal with that after, yeah.
If he had haste, I think he'd be OP, honestly. He would be too far.
Yeah,
he'd be fucking
gross.
Busted. Because he'd be swinging in with 2 hasters of that level, of that magnitude.
That's like push-pull.
Oh, yeah.
But for 1 less mana. Yeah, and you get to keep 1. It'd be a little too gross. Yeah, you're right. But yeah, I think he's good. I think he's awesome.
There's so many bombs. There's so many 4-drop bombs in black and in red, frankly. The fact that you can reanimate each time. You want to go real crazy with it? Run and Grixis and bounce him. I mean, you want to get real silly with it? Keep replaying him. Or play him, he dies, and then immediately, we have so much reanimator, play Zombify on him. So he hits, and then whenever he enters, because it's not when you cast him, it's when he enters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could zombify him. You could get him back with any kind of reanimator.
Yeah, very strong ETB on this guy.
And so essentially, you're cascading down. If you want to cascade down, he's going to be a 5/4.
It is kind of like Cascade, yeah.
If you're basically, that's it. You're getting a 5-drop that's going to get you a 4-drop. And so I could play a 4 that'll get me a 5-drop that'll get me another 4-drop on a zombify. That's value, dude. That's value town all day.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him.
There's that Discover guy too, huh? The Discover 3 on ETB. So you could actually go like 5-4-3.
You could go 5-4-3. You could totally run a Cascade event. Yeah,
that's so crazy.
It is really crazy. I don't think that people are considering the potential potential jank that you could really. Because
you can actually keep the 3 then, and then you still attack with the other guy, the 3/2 or whatever he is. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, it definitely gives you ideas, you know. And for people like you and me, where we like to make decks, you love a card that gives you ideas, and just gets your creative juices going.
So much potential there. Of doing something big.
I agree. I agree.
So he's my number 1 spot. I like Rakdos.
I think he's good.
I think he's going to be fun.
I play him in Pioneer, copy him with Fable.
There you go. Now you're talking about
disgusting.
Messing everything up.
All right. Everything, yeah.
So now let's go to honorable and dishonorable mentions before we get to our tier 0 pick, right?
Yes. Honorable Adrenaline Jockey. The main thing is that he's a creature, yeah, sure, whatever. But if you play a spell on my turn, you get dealt 4 damage. You can't counter my spells anymore. Please stop countering my spells. And I'll immediately go to a dishonorable one from that. We're getting a Spell Pierce reprint.
Oh, man.
Please stop it. So, yeah, so that's just going along with it.
What did they say? It was 5 months? It was 5 months we had without Spell Pierce? Where you didn't have to worry about the 1 blue open?
We had a good run, Jay.
I was traumatized from it. My chat was going. I was like, "Ooh, I can't play the removal now. He could have the Spell Pierce." And my chat was like, "It's not in the format." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
You're like, "Are you sure?"
It's not in the format anymore. I'm like, "Are you sure?"
Are you sure?
If I play, he has 1 blue mana open. Are you sure he's not fucking with me? I had PTSD from Spell Pierce.
The PTSD from that is just too much. Yeah, no, I totally get it. There's also Boom Scholar. I'll go quick through mine because I have a few. Boom Scholar, because we have the Exhaust effect. Exhaust is kind of like almost like Monstrosity in a way, where you pay the Exhaust effect and you get a benefit from it. He makes the Exhaust effect cost 2 less on each other creature that has Exhaust. I just think that's interesting. I think somebody might make an Exhaust deck. I might make an Exhaust deck. We'll see. And then lastly, Intimidation Tactics. It's basically it's kind of like the Steel and Oil, but it lets you take a vehicle, which is cool. Or a creature, and I think it'll just be nice because I think Steel and Oil is going to rotate soon. So it's just nice that we continue an effect like that in a one mana.
What was that one called again?
Discard spell. Intimidation Tactics. Oh,
that's right. Yeah, I was thinking about Intimidation Campaign. I'm like, that's from OTJ.
Oh, different set. Yeah. And this one on some of them, it's hard to remember the name because I think on a lot of the spoilers it's in Japanese.
Yes, there is some weird stuff going on there.
So,
as far as honorable and dishonorable, I want to give a shout out to, first of all, dishonorable. Man, Unstoppable Plan. What are you doing, guys? What are we doing with Unstoppable Plan?
Is that counterspell?
Unstoppable Plan is the Jace card, where Jace had a plan all along because he's so cool and he's so wonderful. It's an enchantment at the beginning of your end step. Untap everything.
Oh, please stop.
Come on, blue. I'm not gonna play it. Maybe
Why is it 3 mana?
It's fucking 3 mana, dude.
Why is it 3
It's
mana?
like a fucking Paradox. They were like, what if Paradox Engine was fucking cheaper and better? Isn't Paradox Engine the thing that untaps everything? Yeah.
And isn't this like part of like one of the Teferi's ults? They have like a Planeswalker ult ability for a 3 mana enchantment, basically.
Yeah, and it's every turn, so it's not even an ult. So everything. So at the end of your turn, man, blue didn't need this, bro. Blue, you're doing too much, man. You go home. You're drunk, blue. You're just...
Yeah, definitely drunk.
So I'm not looking forward to that. As far as, oh man, I forgot the one that I was going to do. I had an honorable mention and I completely forgot it. Do you have any other ones that you want to fill in? You have one more that you can talk about while I look up mine, which I forgot.
Let me just scroll for a second. I'm sure I can find something. I like the guy that he makes all the vehicles a creature of the chosen type.
Oh yeah.
And I'm trying to find which one that is. And also, sorry, Muragonda Raceway. With max speed, it's basically Soul Ring, which is gross.
Oh yeah, he basically is Soul Ring.
The one I'm looking for is Lifecraft Engine. That's the one that, it's like Mosswood Dread Knight for frickin' vehicles.
Yeah.
It's kind of, or no, sorry, not Mosswood. What's that? What was that thing? That 4 mana artifact that you used to play? Not Mosswood Dread Knight. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Bankbuster?
No. It was the 4 mana thing, and you could pick any creature type, and then all the creatures were also that creature type.
I don't remember that. What is that?
You played it with that, or everybody played it with that 5 mana skeleton enchantment, and you make everything a skeleton.
You make
basically.
everything. Oh god, yeah, I remember.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Used to do it with skeleton swarming.
Yeah, skeletal swarming, and you would play, or you would do it with angels and play it with Righteous Valkyrie, and then everything's an angel and everything gains you life.
Yeah,
it's so stupid. It was so stupid, but I think I like that we're bringing something like that back. It is a little bit limited because it has to be a vehicle creature to do it. I think that's okay though. It's just a fun little thing that I like them bringing back. Also, shout out to completing the Verge cycle.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that. I'm really excited about the Verge land cycle.
I like that it's like almost like consecutive. I think I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely Verge land cycle is pretty boss here. Bloodghast, I forgot about him. We can't forget about my man Bloodghast.
Yeah.
Bloodghast is a 2/2. He's back? That's a reprint?
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. Listen to me not knowing what I'm talking about. So Bloodghast is back. He's a landfall guy, and landfall in black is already pretty good. So Golgari landfall, there's already a decent amount of landfall support, which was kind of unexpected in the current meta. I don't know if anybody expected landfall to just kind of be hanging around. It's normally a Zendikar thing, and we haven't been there in a while.
True.
Yeah, definitely like him. Our Victory's not a bad way to make. That's a good enchantment to make zombies with. That's not terrible. And Gonti, that was the other one.
Gonti's cool.
Stealing cards. Gonti's back. Here I go stealing again, Gonti said. We have a lot of cards that play off the top. You're talking about, what is that one? Merciless Robbery or Reckless Robbery, whatever it's called.
Outrageous Robbery.
Outrageous Robbery.
Yeah.
You have Tiny Bones who's stealing. You have you have Rakdos decks that steal. He just enhances the already. He might be what it takes to set off a stealing deck. So keep an eye on him.
Possible, yeah.
But those are all my honorables. I don't really have that many more, but there's a few that I think could shake things up, and that's what I'm looking for is, can we shake things up?
Yeah, I like it.
Should we go through our number one, our tier 0, top tier, god tier?
Let's get
god
to
roll.
it. Let's get to it. Let's not hold the people any longer.
All right, here we go. Tier 0. What do we think is the tier 0 card? Is
Speed Demon.
Speed Demon. You knew they were going to print something called Speed Demon, and I called it way before I made a tweet that said if we don't get a card called Speed Demon, I'm going to be real pissed. Why don't you read it out?
We got it? Oh, you want me to read it? I got you.
Read it out. Give it the full treatment.
So Speed Demon. Give me 1 second because now I got to search it. Speed Demon MTG. Here we go. So he is a 5 mana 5/5 flying trample. He is a demon. Once again, start your engines. It's here. Now this is one of the ones I was saying This is something where you're rewarded for going past 4. Maybe you don't view it as a reward, depending what happens. I think it's rewarding, and I think there's enough cards to make it not a problem. But so it has to start your engine's ability. At the beginning of your end step, you draw X cards and lose X life, where X is your speed. So automatically, by default, he would have you lose a life and draw a card on the end step. And then as soon as your opponent loses life in a turn, it goes up. Theoretically, it would go up almost every turn. Mm-hmm. You're drawing a ton of cards with this guy.
You are drawing.
He is legendary, but
yeah, he is legendary. He's a legendary demon. So the main thing that we need to understand is we're still in a demon meta.
Yep.
Annex still exists. Annex is not going anywhere for a while, which was one of our beautiful calls from way back in the day.
True.
Unstoppable Annex and Demon decks, Golgari Demon, Mono Black Demon, Rakdos Demons, they're still good. They're amazing. So anytime that we get a legendary demon, a 5/5 flying and trample for 5 is already decent. Start your engines, of course, increasing that speed. Drawing cards for that sacrifice, I don't think it really matters. I mean, we could lose 4 life a turn, but we're drawing 4 cards.
Yeah, play it with Sheoldred.
Play it with Sheoldred.
Well, also, if you have the Annex, you could order your triggers, and the Annex can resolve first. Mm-hmm. You would make your opponent lose life, and you would gain the 2 life because you have a demon out.
Yeah.
And then the Speed Demon trigger would resolve, and the Annex making your opponent lose life would actually up your speed. Mm-hmm. So the first turn this is out, if you have the Unholy Annex out, if you resolve the Annex trigger first, then you're actually drawing 2 cards and not losing any life because you already gained the life, but you still make your opponent lose 2 life. You're doing that the first turn that he comes out. So I think I think it's good.
I also think that he lives on curve perfectly in Demons. I think he would be wrong.
I can see that, yeah.
If he lived in 6, I think he'd be useless. That's fair. You go 1 drop, 2 drop, maybe a mascot, 3 drop Annex, 4 drop Dross or
Sheoldred
or Sheoldred or Bloodletter, and he hits you on the 5. He is just smooth on that curve, man.
Yeah, and then if they do deal with the Speed Demon, then you just do the other side of the Annex and get another 6/6 demon for 5
then
mana the next turn.
6 drop is the demon next turn.
Yeah.
And I think that you have enough sacrifice outlets that if he is drawing you too many cards, if you're like Speed Demon, you're doing too much, I think that you absolutely can just get rid of him. You can sacrifice him, you can do something. Because he's also a 5/5 flying. I mean, he's not just sitting there, you know.
Yeah, I don't think they want to get smacked in the face with him that many times. So I guess he kind of like Archfiend, like he's supposed to theoretically end the game before he kills you. Mm-hmm. You know, I think that's the idea. But yeah, we think it's awesome. We both, you know, this is kind of the big bomb that sticks out for us, and it may not be the best card in the whole set. But
I don't think
it's
the best. No,
it might be the best black card.
It's gonna be the best. I wouldn't say the best black card, but it fits in the current meta because, like I said, Demon meta is not going anywhere. As long as Annex is in here, as long as Bloodletter, Dross, and whatchamacallit are in the format, we're stuck with Demons, man. Duskborn is not rotating out. Valgavoth and all these other ones, we're going to be hitting it. There's no sense in trying to kind of deny that this is a demon-heavy meta. You can absolutely hit Mythic. You can hit Mythic with demons. You can run Golgari demons and hit Mythic.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to Jaffer. I think that's what he hit. Mythic with.
He might have, yeah.
With Golgari demons is because he knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. So it is tough to call out. It is tough to say that a demon card will not be an absolute banger in this scenario because.
Agreed.
He's just good, man. And like I said, just on curve, doing what he needs to do, killing things, you know. And he just fits the format, and he's also called the Speed Demon, so that's funny.
I think it's so fun, yeah. But yeah, that is our tier 0, card 0, whatever you'd like to call it. We love our Speed Demon, and we are buying in more and more to this start your engines mechanic.
We hope that we've gotten your hype up a little bit. I know a lot of people were feeling a little sad about this, and You know, I know we all want Tarkir, and I know we're all excited about Spider-Man.
SpongeBob.
Every single one of us is excited about Spider-Man. There's not one person who's upset about it. But I think there's fun to be had here. I think if you look at it as a supplemental set, what we talk about, main sets and supplemental sets, that it's going to help support what already exists in a fun way instead of resetting everything from the beginning. And again, give speed a chance. That's what I'm saying, is that you should use speed and that it's good for you. That is what I want to go on record saying, is that everyone
maybe it's better. Maybe it's better if Tarkir is the one that resets everything, huh?
Maybe it is better if Tarkir resets everything. Final Fantasy, one of these other ones.
Just a little more epic.
We're going to be in early access next week. We're going to be doing it in a couple of days next Wednesday.
We'll be cooking.
We'll be brewing. Tell us your brews. Come on by the Discord, join the council. Tell us your brews. What do you want to see? What do you want to think? What are you excited about? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comment section. This is the council. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
But that's all we got for tonight, guys. I'm going to call this meeting of the council to the close. Thank you all for coming.
Here, guys.
On your marks, get set. Go. It's weird to say that the end.
I'm gonna, on my mark, get set, go to bed.
Good idea. We'll see you in the next one, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Adios and goodbye.
Take care, guys.